Hi chicos, espero que estén bien y tu fin de semana fue muy bien. Lo que vamos a hacer ahora es aprender como inmigración a Canadá. So today, the past 2 weeks you've done a project on Confederation, and then previously you did a project on fur trading. What we're trying to do is to teach you how to move from learning to read, to reading to learn. So when you get to the upper elementary grades, like 4, 5, 6, your shift in reading is changing. So you all know how to read. And what you're doing now is you're reading to learn. So you're thinking about the information that you're getting, and then you're putting that information in various things. So last week you had to make 2 newspaper articles, one about Confederation and one imagining you were Sir John A. Macdonald. The previous week you had to imagine you were a fur trader, so you had to read the information that you were given and kind of synthesize it, meaning breaking it down and understanding what you were reading and putting that understanding into a task. So this week we'll be doing the same, which will be reading and then applying what we're understanding to a task. So we're going to be learning about immigration to Canada. So you ask maybe, what is immigration? So immigration means leaving the country you're born into and moving to another country. So for instance, in the mid to like 1850s, around the 1850s, my grandpa's family immigrated to Canada from Ireland. They left Ireland because of poor living conditions and they weren't able to make a living there. And they were given they were hopeful that they were given land here and they were able to start farming. So that's a little immigration story. There's also immigration stories currently. People coming to Canada. So my husband's family left England when he was just a baby and moved to Canada. So immigration in the sense means that you're leaving your country you were born in and moving somewhere else to another country. So why did people want to immigrate to Canada after Confederation? So a lot of times there was a big push for immigration after Confederation to try to get people to come over and settle in Canada. And one of the main reasons was they were offered land, free land to come here. So they were thinking, I'm going to get this free land and then I can farm and I can sell my crops to the locals, the people that live there, and then I can make money. So it was enabling them to have a better life. So they were hopeful that they could have a more prosperous life in Canada. So that's why they first came. And this here is a picture of like a little poster of what kind of things that they would use to entice people to come. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be reading immigration stories and then using that information to work on a project. So I will go through the slides and explain what you're going to do, and then I'll keep this slideshow on the actual assignment so then you can refer back to it. So obviously you're watching the video now, so you did awesome. You're following the steps and instructions. So this is step 1. Step 2, you're going to choose 2 of the immigration stories on slides 6 through 12. There are 7 immigration stories in total, 1 per slide. Please choose only 2 to read. So I'm going to go briefly through who they were and where they immigrated from, and then you can decide which 2 you want to read. So first, this is a story. So this is one whole story on 1 page. So this would be one of the readings if you choose Elizabeth Walsh. So she immigrated to Canada from England. This is Hung Li Zhang. He immigrated to Canada from China. to work on the CP rail, which is very interesting. We will be going into that next week. Beatrice Jane Thomas, she immigrated to Canada from Wales. So Wales is a part of the United Kingdom, which England is obviously a part of too, and Wales is close to England. Evelyn Mackenzie, she immigrated to Canada from Scotland. So this is a story from the perspective of somebody coming from Scotland. Hans Becker immigrated from Berlin, Germany. So this is a perspective from somebody who came to Canada from Germany. Ivan Mikhailio immigrated to Canada from Ukraine. So we had a very, I don't know if you remember in grade 2, you had to study the Ukraine in Saskatchewan because there's a big Ukrainian population that came to Saskatchewan and immigrated there to farm. And finally, Thomas Stewart came from a place in Devon, a place called Devon, which is in England and which is actually close to where my husband was born. So these stories are pieces of fiction, and the authors have written these stories in hopes with the historical information. So they're called historical fiction. The characters are made up, but the events are real. So your first step, step 3, after you've chosen 2 of these, you're going to take one of those and answer some questions on a Google slide. Some general questions like why did they immigrate to Canada? What were some of their hardships? Where did they come from? And please answer in complete sentences. Make sure to write your name as well. Step 4, you're going to create a story of one of the immigration stories you read. So instead of doing 2, so maybe for step 3 you decided, I'm going to write about Hans, like answer the Google form. And I've read about Hans and Elizabeth. And so for this one, you did the Google form on Hans, and for this one, maybe you're going to do it on Elizabeth. We are okay though if you choose the same person for both. But I think it would be interesting if it would broaden your understanding of different stories. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a story, basically making their story, the figure that you've chosen from one of the immigration stories, making that into a storybook. So you go to this website called mystorybook.com, and you will be able to create your own story. Your teacher will be giving you a username and password. So for my class, the username is my edu email, and the password is our password for our Google Meets with Senora Towers. So Towers Collingwood GR5. And the reason why I created an account just for me is so I can see all your stories. So what I've done here is I'm going to give you a little bit of a picture of what it will look like. So I read the story of Elizabeth Walsh and took that information and synthesized it. So when you get to this app, this is what the first page of the story looks like. And I'm just going to take you there right now so you can see how to use it. So first you'll go to mystorybook.com, and then here you'll log in with the username and password that your teacher gives you, and I will put it on the instructions. Then when you get in, you'll be able to create a new storybook, and from there you can use it. So Senora is just going to go through this one. So I started with Elizabeth Walsh, and if I could write, so you click on it, and you can write by, you can change the font, you can also, and I would write by and your name. So the name of the person and your name. So what you do when you get in is you can go and change the background, so the scene. So I chose the scenes are very limited, so you just kind of have to look. So you go to scene, and there's different kinds of landscapes you can choose for the scene. So what I'm going to do, so for this one, and then what I've done is I've added some characters, which is the items. You go to items, and you can add characters to the story. So obviously I needed Elizabeth, and in this page, it also included her husband. You can change their hair color and their outfits and all that fun stuff too. Then I'm going to do one page with you. So let's go to, just 1 second, guys, sorry. Add page. So from here, I'm going to imagine that they're on the boat from coming from England to Canada. So we're going to take this image, and that's going to be my scene, my background. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the boat that the steamship, which they usually would, but you can look up here, boat, and they just have kind of a general boat. So I'm going to put that boat here. Obviously, this isn't exactly what the boat would look like, but it's okay if it's not exact. And you can expand the size of the boat or decrease the size. Now I'm just going to add Elizabeth to here. And obviously Elizabeth is not as big as the boat, so I'm going to put her here. Oops. So imagining her, she's here, and then I could add her family and such like that too. Now, what you're going to do next is add the text. So you could add speech bubbles, you could add just what's happening. Actually, no, we're not going to add speech bubbles. We're just going to add what's happening. Okay, so Elizabeth and her family were on a boat for 2 weeks until they arrived at Canada. Okay, so we can add that to our story, and then it will go directly on here. And then you can continue adding pages and images until you're done your story. And then there's a back cover where you can write us a little description of what this story is about. So imagine Elizabeth Walsh. This story is about the journey Elizabeth Walsh takes to get to Canada. It also has detail about, sorry guys, about her new life as an immigrant. So that's done. Okay, so you can keep on adding pages and images, fool around with it, play with it, and have fun. And if you have any questions, let us know. And yeah, enjoy.